We have a Collins matchup happening on board 1 this time. It is between Evans, Clinchy, and Dave Wiegand. Dave took this the first game in this match last round. I believe it was 136 or something like that.
100. He said 100 points. I spoke to him.
Okay.
And he said 100 points.
So it was a large score in any case for Dave in the first game. So Evans will hope to make up a little bit of spread, ideally, with a win here.
It's not up yet, so we're going to have to go with that. All right.
He's got several bingo options here already. There is Decigram, I believe, plays on there through the R.
Right. He's going to take a little time figuring this one out, I think. There's Magic. Oh, wouldn't that be sweet if he could do that, eh? And now he can. So in honor of our illustrious host for the video, he could play Magic through the A, but more likely something like Grimaced.
Yeah, Grimaced or Magic are looking to be pretty
and Decigram,
good plays here.
The one you called it, Decigram.
Yeah. And Verge was played before we got on the air. I apologize because I was actually busy talking to someone for just a minute there, so my bad, but we are back and we only missed one move here on the opening play.
No, let's not say we, shall we?
Okay, well, you didn't miss seeing the play. We just weren't on the air. Pardon me.
That's too funny.
So once Dave moves his hand, we'll see that rack there. It's looking fairly good. Yeah, he's in the hot seat, actually, quite literally right now, and those are the letters on Dave's rack.
In the hot seat. Rheostat through an R.
Yes. But I don't think Hohia works.
I don't know. It could be a good Collins word. Who knows? There we got Decigram.
Yeah,
okay.
So Decigram's going down. Yay, me!
He has post-heat, loathest, hemostat, and heat spot. The anagram of post-heat is heat spot, which in this air-conditioned room I have been praying for.
A heat spot, really?
Three long days.
Well, you can have it. I don't want it.
Sure tell this isn't game 1 for the two of us.
No, certainly not.
So nothing through the C, nothing through the D. So he needs R, P, L, M to bingo. And so let's see. Hemostat went to, well, it would have played if it was lower. All right. He also, by playing Decigram, he took away the hot spot where the M is now the triple letter for Dave to play something like THO, which would have cleaned his rack up beautifully and scored, tripling the H in both directions.
Well, he can do THO and make CHIOET for a decent score there, off the side of Decigram.
Yes, because CH is good and IO is good, so I think that's a really perfectly lovely play. The trouble is IO only takes an N, and he doesn't have one on his rack.
Actually, IO takes an S as well.
Does it really?
It
there
does.
You go. I need to study
So
this.
N and S.
There you go.
Yeah, Tho was going down here.
Yeah, that is the play. And we'll get some scores up pretty soon, I'm pretty sure.
And for those of you in the audience who are savvy on newer terminology, no, thought with a T at the end does not work. And I'm not going to say on the air what that means exactly, but those of you can fill in the lines.
I don't know that.
Yeah, so thought is a relatively new term that's come up. It's an acronym, actually, but that one has not made it into either of the Scrabble dictionaries yet.
I think I'm going to be handing you my pad of paper and a pen pretty soon. All right. I'm going to get the computer. Oh, having some glitches today.
So the Apostle Dave is sitting over there. At least that's one of the words on his rack.
Let's see if there's any more. And pelotas, of course, and potals, which is Collins only, P-O-T-A-L-E-S. But he's got spoliate double through the I. So it seems likely that he's going to bingo on the next turn. It is possible for Evans to block Thank you to my son who just told me what THOT is in the message.
The scores are looking, yeah, we just got the scores updated there. They're looking fairly correct to me.
They're possibly correct, but we'll tell you in a second.
Eyeballing it, it looks correct.
So on the opening rack, Dave actually he saved M blank to play Verge.
Yeah, so he did not miss a bingo on that rack. Up jets. Great play.
That's a pretty play.
So Spoliate is likely going to go down here from Dave in the next turn. I would expect him to have already seen that, probably just considering his options like Pilotas.
Yeah, he has it set up on his rack, and even though it seems, fairly obvious, it's the obvious play, he still wants to take his time and be sure because he's spotting that O next to the triple letter. And the X is unseen. So he just wants to make sure he's considered all possibilities.
And that's something, too, that even I struggled a lot with before and still sometimes forget, is taking the time to look through these racks, even the ones that seem obvious, just to make sure there aren't any better plays, because sometimes we may rush the play and then something a lot better is actually there. Then you might smack yourself for being too fast, and then there's that whole psychological aspect that might ruin your game. So it's just a good idea to take time to look even when it seems obvious. And yeah, Dave has still played that in the end, but just as a good exercise is really just to look at that rack for at least a little while.
That's something that Joe Edley taught me a long time ago. Joe Edley is one of the best players of the game. And he said, find your best play, then keep your hands underneath your legs and don't move those tiles until you find an even better play or you're thoroughly satisfied that your play is the best play.
So Evans has made a change here, which is fairly reasonable because his rack was just awful. He's kept CR left over, which is great. Dave is giving a shout out, a yo, to all of you watching out there, including us. Ideally, I would imagine he would want to play yay or something similar to get rid of both, or maybe he'll keep one so he can score twice with a Y, not sure. It does seem in the end that Dave has decided he's just going to go for a score here, so playing off one of the Ys to create oi twice and po, which is defined as a type of chamber pot.
There are no bingos for Evan. Evans, not just on his rack.
Evans,
boards.
sticky
Evans.
S. There's a sticky S in his name.
I love that name, Evans. I think that's very classy. There are no 7s or 8s at all in that rack. So he's going to have to decide what he wants to do with that.
I'm thinking Campo is looking like a great play
I'm
here.
I'm liking Campo immediately. We'll get our guy back and he'll turn the board around for everybody in a second.
For now, you know what it's like to play like James Leong, the Players' Champion, or like Jeff Teveno, who also plays Upside Down. A large number of players, actually Nigel Richards included, never actually turn the board around. They just are fine with playing Upside Down.
Well, a lot of them, growing up before we had the turntable boards, just grew up on the flat boards, and it was just wreaking havoc every time you wanted to move the board because there were no grooves either. So a lot of people learned to play Upside Down, and now that's just, they can't play any other way. Let's see what Dave has. AISS.
Stay, sit.
Oh dear. Stay and
Two
sit.
commands you can give to a dog. Stay, sit.
And again, there are no 7s or 8s in that rack. We will update the score as soon as we can. I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulty this game. But we're live and on the air, and that's a good thing. We'll get the scores when we can. Oh. We're getting puppy eyes. There's some technical. Okay. Okay, we're having some technical difficulties.
What seems to be happening is I believe the software that the annotators are using at the table is not registering scores correctly.
All right,
so we're going to have to see if we can do it for you here, or for any of the extremely keen quacklers out there, if you could do so, that would be great as well.
It was 133. Oh. Something just happened, but I don't know if it's legit. So it was 133.48 after. Before spoliate? Yeah, and now with spoliate, 138, 133, but then we've had Campo and Oi. So we have to add just 2 more racks into the score. I think we're pretty close. Oi was played by...
So 30, that was played by Dave. 30 more points for Dave with that one. And then Campo from Evans was 6, 7, 10, 11, 33 for Evans.
All right, so it's a very close game, within 10 points.
So Evans is at 166 and Dave is at 168, just 2 points apart in this game so far.
I'm looking to see if there's anything off the R in decigram, hitting the Y on the double letter. And there is not. There isn't even a 6-letter word starting with R. He decided to stay rather than sit. I think that was a good choice.
Stay is good.
Obviously, you want to get rid of the Y. You'd love to get rid of the I. You're not going to be able to do both. And he is creating a nice big opening over there. So there are disadvantages to what he played, but they're understandable.
So 28 points there for stay and decigrams.
Now he's got XU. Off stay. YU is a good play in Collins, so AX and XU. You obviously would rather get rid of the U than the A.
Evans might be concerned about underlap possibilities here after playing AX and XU, so while it does score well, one thing that we consider as Scrabblers when we're making a move here is not just how much that we score, not just what we have left over on our racks, but also how many points that we give to our opponents after a move as opposed to before we make that move. And XU, or Chu, I'm not sure, I think Chu, because it's a Vietnamese type of currency, after that move, we're offering back lots of points many times as long as the opponent has an E.
But he's got a hook for YU. There aren't a lot of them. And he's got the G.
Unfortunately for Evans, Dave has Isotine at the very least that goes underneath Axe, which was just played. And Canatees also plays on the top to the C.
Which is a much better play. Or is it? Yes, it's a much better play. See the advantage of knowing your racks really, really well. He doesn't have to sit there and think, do I have anything better? This is once again one of our stem racks, 6 letters plus a 7th tile. We call this satine, A-E-I-N-S-T, or satine, plus another I is isotine, and with a C it's canatees. And that's something that at this level we know without even thinking twice. Ungarbed.
Ungarbed is there. Also from the S, I believe there is subgrade, if possible, which is a great play.
He's got subgrade, and that's going straight down.
Great word knowledge here being put on display by both our players so far.
92 points for that. For some reason, they put the stay here.
Stay is in the wrong spot on the annotated game. Okay, interesting.
The computer had suggested Gompa instead of Campo because the C is considered more desirable to stay on your rack than a G. And then it suggested Vastity with that stay rack, which is a really pretty find.
Wow, and Dave has Zone, Za, Odd, and NE for his next play.
Yeah.
It's going to completely negate the bingo play that Evans just made, unfortunately for Evans.
Yeah, he's going to play zoned. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, zone is going down here for a whole whack of points.
There are days like that at the office. What can you do?
Mm-hmm. So, meanwhile, Evans has Knoll plus QD on his rack. There's no real easy way to clean this up at this point in time.
I'm looking. He does have YUK, but that's not going to help him a lot. Con and K, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got that. That's a lot of points. YUK and KON. 34 points. How many U's are gone? Subgrade, upjets, 3 U's are out. Still a lot of I's to come. We're looking at ways to get rid of the Q. That's what I'm nattering on about.
So it looks like someone who's keeping track of the score for us, hi Rebecca, in the chat there, it looks like Dave has a score of 348 to Evan's 299.
Yes, I think his bingo that was not put in yet.
So Dave would love to have a G wide open for a fining, but, oh, what am I thinking? Yeah, a fining. But there is no G.
Let me see what you have.
And in fact, all 3 have been played.
No, there's no fining.
No?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just crazy.
Well, we knew that. A fine is good, and a find
so a
is
find
good,
is just
but
an adjective.
It's
Okay.
just an adjective, yeah.
All right, I'll just go hide in the corner.
I would have
now.
held you. I don't know if I would have challenged, but I would have held you. Yeah, so if you could get rid of KNOLL, that would be amazing. He's got cons, KONDS.
Con doesn't take an S at the end, for sure.
For sure?
In Collins. Con is already
All right,
past
thanks.
tense.
Thank you.
Con instead with yuck works just fine there.
Yeah, so there you go. Got to score points. You can't, even though you're leaving a lousy rack, you got to keep scoring when you're behind like this in the middle of the game. Oh, that goes in the lovely with it. W. And a V, of course. It seems to happen, eh? Things not going well. you're just a magnet for all the bad tiles.
Evans has Quell, but with the W.
And Kvel.
Yes.
With the V. He could say he's playing with a different font and the V actually is a U, but it's just a, yeah.
Winter would actually love that, in fact.
Yes. Oh, God, don't go there. Yes. We want them to like us. Spoliate does take a D, and Evans will probably try to take advantage of that.
So Finan is going down here.
What a great dump, eh? 3 ends.
A great number of points there for getting rid of some combos there.
Still having to play. How are we doing on score? Are we up to date? Yes, we are. Except for Finan. Okay, well, we'll catch up with that for another 30 points. So right now, Dave has 378 to Evans 333, and he's got a mitt full of crapola.
Meanwhile, Dave has drawn the other blank.
Oh, and a very beautiful rack. So what can now, weld and lewd to spoliate.
He may also want to keep that D and maybe play off the S and spoliate over to the triple line.
I know, but you know what? It's been too many turns since Dave bingoed.
That is true.
There's like a rhythm to playing Dave, and it's just a matter of, I feel like a bingo's coming on. And I'm going to be wanting to limit his chances at that right now. Force him to play off yuck and keep the triple lane open for myself.
Is that one of those things that comes with age, like the people who say they can feel the weather in their bones? Can you just feel those bingos in your bones?
You just happen to be asking that of me, your elder?
Respectfully, of course.
Of course. Oh, he's playing Dwell. He's being even a bit more volatile than that. Obviously looking to pick a U or blank to go with that cue. Maximizing his chances by playing an extra tile. Now, I think we're going to see Inflator pretty quickly.
Yes. Evans is not going to be happy with that.
So you see how quickly he played that. These are racks that we absolutely know. We know them quickly. Dave is already up one game, so Evan's got to be feeling pretty
And Dave will have a huge spread as well after this, assuming you...
Which is huge, you know, in case Evans comes back and wins the third game, he's going to have a big cume to overcome.
Yeah, so Evans is in all sorts of trouble
well,
here.
He's got
this
QI
rack.
over the inflator,
Yeah.
the IN in inflator. I think we're going to probably see that.
So with a fair number of letters available, Dave is already at 515, it looks like here.
Yeah, not 18. Let's see. 518 to 356, the score is correct.
518, okay, yeah.
Or are you getting a little older and you can't see the numbers clearly? Is that what
I'm reading the feed just because I saw 515. Yes, I am getting some age.
Listen, you're getting a huge Z play like that. You're getting a triple inflator. You're putting down Kennedys. You're going to win the game.
Although a lot of credit to Evans here as well. Subgrade is a great find. So is Decigram. Evans is not playing badly by any means.
Oh, there are plenty of games where you put your racks into the computer and it tells you you've played nearly perfect and you still lose. I mean, this is just luck of the draw sometimes, and that's what makes Scrabble so excruciatingly painful sometimes. Unlike chess, where you really do control your destiny all the time, you do not in Scrabble. But it's amazing how the top players always seem to play through the bad racks and manage to win. But when you have two fantastic players play against each other, the bad luck is really what's going to often make the difference. Wire draw is the only bingo in Dave Regan's rack. Oh, he did play QI as expected. Okay, good. I don't think he really had a choice. You know, that Q's been on his rack for too many turns. You want to get rid of it, even though it's blocking your bingo lane. And that pretty much spells the end of the game almost. You can bingo through the E, but it's not enough. And there are no bingos in Evan's rack anyway. So we're thinking that maybe even something as simple as weirder, you know, play off a bunch of tiles through the E and dwell, block the bingo lane, score a lot.
In the chat, we have had over beer, cheekily suggested, but I'm just thinking, no, there's really never such thing as too much beer. There's always a good amount of beer that's necessary. So I'm going to say over beer is unacceptable.
Who are we waiting on now? Where's Dave's turn? Okay, 518 to 393. Second game between these two gents. Dave is already leading 1-0. Evans, who earlier in the day, was wearing a hoodie with the hood over his head, is now practically taking off his shirt.
He no longer has the hoodie.
I think he's feeling the heat.
And Evans, you're not wearing that hoodie, so "You have failed this city," to quote Oliver Queen, for any of you who watched that show. Let us see what's going on with Dave's rack.
Dave is in a luxurious position of not having to block the bingo lane. He can withstand certainly one bingo, and then there's no room for another. So he's sitting pretty. The computer on one iteration does agree that raw is the best play. But it's always looking to save and look for bingos.
So I guess the questions here really for Evans is if he's going to officially...
Oh, I think he's going to open a triple-triple. I'm interrupting you. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
He may just open that triple-triple because he desperately needs something to work in his favor right now.
I think he's got to play veers.
There's a lot of... Let's see how many vowels are in the pool compared to consonants to see what's going to work best here.
There are 2 R's, and he's saving OE, so veers.
Yes.
Well, I mean, at least will bring, you know, definitely Cume is going to be a big factor in this matchup. So I really like veers. But I'm not sitting where they are, so let's see what they're going to do. He's also got to consider what's in the bag and what's the likelihood of him picking up something that will play in his favor. Right now, however, if he doesn't open up a second lane, and if he doesn't open a triple-triple lane, he's pretty much toast. Because I don't think that E is going to stay open next turn if he doesn't. Okay.
Dave has got re-audit lined up on his rack.
Pre-audit.
Pre-audit is the one that we know.
And Eupatrid. Urinated, runated. Muriated. Nothing that he's going to be able to play. A little surprised at that play by Evans. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's just essentially conceding the game at this point, which I don't think you can really do when you're in a dire situation like this. You can't really be afraid of giving a triple-triple back because at this point, knowing you're going to be down 2-0 and down by at least, well, it's looking like 200 points on spread at this point, you need to give yourself a chance.
Well, just a second. I'm seeing 6 tiles on his rack, and we really are suffering by not having accurate tile tracking. It seems that there was only 1 in the bag.
Okay,
All
so
right,
then
so
never
that
mind.
explains a lot.
He couldn't have fished something off. Okay.
According to my software here, it looks like there's 6 left. But
yeah. So he's just making the play that empties the bag, and
all right, that's
it's just conceding the game.
All right. Now it makes sense. There was absolutely no point playing veers at that point. So he went for a nice score. And the computer agrees with him. But I really have no idea how the computer thinks there are 6 tiles left in the bag. I'm going to start counting. Because this is bugging me. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. It's possible that Evans has not picked a 7 tile. I don't know. Let's see. That'll be scandalous if that...
Yeah, if there were tiles and Dave drew out of turn.
We're going to have a situation... No, Dave's not even grabbing for the bag.
So the bag's empty for sure.
Yeah, so it's the computer. All right.
So, relève.
You're so lucky, audience, that you have 2 Canadians here today who can pronounce things properly for you. 26 points for relève. He might also be in a little bit of time trouble, I'm not sure.
Just to answer the question in the chat there, the NASP tile is a blank tile. That means you can make it whatever letter you want it to be. So with that play of Ire, Vi, and Er, Dave goes out and wins this game by well over 100 points.
Ugh.
So really tough game there for Evans. He's going to be down by over 200 in spread going into the next 2 games. So Evans is going to need to win by a fair bit in his next 2 games. An average of 50 points per game he's going to need to win by in order to overtake Dave Wiegand. And that is no easy task, given that Dave has won the national championship in the TWL dictionary several times, and he's come very close to winning Worlds several years in a row now. He's simply one of the best players that we have, not even just in North America, but the world, playing this game right now.
I'll give you an idea how much he's respected. Talking with Joel Wapnick yesterday, who is a world champion and been to the finals, I think, 3 times at the Worlds, twice at least Canadian champion and a national champion. He said, without even blinking, there's no question that Dave Wiegand is the head of the field in Collins at this tournament, and he wouldn't even include himself in there. So he's highly respected, both as a player and as a gentleman. And